Hey guys and gals, this is Jesse. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Strix Outdoors. In this video, we're going to do a penetration test of the GrizzlyStik Alaskan 200. This is a forged single bevel broadhead, and this is part of my elk hunting setup. So for this penetration test, I actually have some elk scapula from an elk I killed a couple years ago that I've been saving, and we're going to try to punch through those. The arrow build is a 200 grain Alaskan 200 with a GrizzlyStik Momentum TDT shaft that I've custom built for a total arrow weight of approximately 625 grains, and that's flying at about 240 feet per second out of my Bowtech Rain 6. So the idea in this test is to see if I can punch through the scapula, and preferably two scapula, and those are elk scapula. That's really the whole purpose behind going to this heavy build. Now, to approximate that, I know this is not ideal. This isn't a real animal, and there's a lot of other variables and factors that go into whether or not this is representative, but this is just the best I could do, especially with the stuff I had on hand. So what I'm going to do to try to replicate an elk as best as I can is I've got this rubber kind of mat. This is a kitchen mat, and so that's going to represent kind of the skin and a little bit of a layer of fat and some tissue. I'll have the scapula front and back, and then a watermelon to kind of represent the body or the internals a bit. Again, I know it's not ideal, but the idea is to see what the arrow will do passing through this. So the scapulas have been in the freezer since I shot the elk, and then I soaked them in water for a few days, and they're actually quite ripe right now, so you can see the flies are trying to get to them. So being that they've been soaked in water for so long, I think that's actually pretty representative versus a bone, a scapula that's been in the freezer and it's been dried, in terms of how brittle the bone becomes. And when it's been soaked like this, I think it'll be a little bit more malleable, so I'm curious to see what the broadhead's going to do. Again, the idea behind a single bevel is that it can split bone instead of only punching through it, so we're going to see how that works actually on this scapula. Alright, so I'm going to piece this together and then we'll take a shot. Whoa! Darn it. I can tell you guys my nose will never be the same after this, but here you can see the elk scapula watermelon rubber mat burrito that I'm going to be trying to shoot through. But we got the scapula on each end. It's free to move around a little bit, but hopefully it's held in place enough that I can punch through without it just skipping out of the way. Let's shoot through it. Alright, so here's the arrow. Alaskan 200, single bevel, Ethics Archery, insert outsert, and GrizzlyStik Momentum TDT shaft. So we're gonna see and some AAE veins, white and pink, like I like it. Well, that was pretty cool. Here's the arrow sticking in the target behind the test rig here. See, it boogered up the veins. I'll have to refletch this arrow before I can shoot it again, which is a bummer because I wanted to shoot it again with a different broadhead. Might still do that actually. It's gonna focus. Broadhead still in good shape. Take a look at the hole just a little bit. This may not fly very well, but since it's not going very far, I'm going to try to shoot this with an IronWill broadhead and see what that does. You look in there, you can kind of see the general area where I hit. So I'm going to try to hit a little forward with that with the next broadhead. That's the hole. That's the point I was aiming at, where that black spot is. So I'm going to go over to the left just a little bit with the next shot. All right, so the next test, I'm gonna shoot the same arrow because I don't want to booger up another one of my arrows, but I think it'll be okay. This is with an IronWill Solid, double bevel, 200 grain with bleeder vanes, same arrow. It's got the messed up vanes, so it may not fly perfectly, but it's short distance, so let's see what it does. I'm gonna try to aim just a little left of where the other impact point was, and then we can compare the holes afterwards. All right, here we go. Test number 2 with an IronWill 200 grain. All right, that was the IronWill. Ripped up another vane, but I think it flew well enough into the target. Now these are the exit holes for comparison. This is the GrizzlyStik. This is the IronWill. You can see the 2 additional cuts here, top and bottom, which are the bleeder vanes, but basically same diameter. All right, so here are the entry holes for both. This is the GrizzlyStik Alaskan 200. You can see the gash here. This is the IronWill, again with the bleeder vane. So just remember, IronWill is on the left, GrizzlyStik on the right. We're gonna take this nasty taco apart and look at the bones. Well, that's one dead watermelon. All right, so let's take a close look at these holes. This is the Alaskan 200. This is the IronWill. So you can see they both just punched through. The IronWill actually made a bigger hole. Not the thickest part of the bone by any means. All right, so here you go. That's the exit side of the front scapula. Again, GrizzlyStik here, Alaskan 200. Single bevel, and then this is the IronWill here. All right, so on the back shoulder or back scapula that was on the other side of the watermelon, this is the GrizzlyStik Alaskan 200. This is the IronWill. So you can see the IronWill just kind of punched through, broke a hole. That's probably, I don't know if that's a bleeder vein, no. Just punched a hole, basically same as the entry hole. The Alaskan 200 on the back end got the L shape kind of cut that they talk about with single bevels. So you can kind of see that it's split this one down this way probably a good inch or so, inch and a half from where it impacted. And then you got this cut coming up here, this line coming up here, and the big hole that it punched through, flipping it around. Again, Alaskan 200, IronWill here, just nice even punch hole with the IronWill. And you got this piece that got pushed out and then cracked, just kind of split this whole thing. And this is on the back side, on the back shoulder blade. All right guys, well there you have it. Pretty cool results with both broadheads. They both punched through. Again, not exactly representative of a real elk, but at least it went through real elk scapula that was as best as I could simulate. So I'm really confident in taking either one of these broadheads out in the woods and punching it through an elk. Of course, I'm not gonna be aiming at the shoulder blade, but if things go wrong, plan B if you will, I think I've got pretty good confidence that either one of them will do the job. Well, let me know what you think. What are you using in the elk woods this fall? And what kind of results have you had? It's hot out here, guys. I'm sweating like a Care Bear. So I'm gonna call it good for this video. Till next time, thanks for watching.